everybody. This is Keith Gleason from Indie Comics Relay back with another comic review. Before we get started on that, just a couple things. Mighty Mascots Indiegogo campaign is being fulfilled now. Me and my wife were pushing out about 20 or so packages a week, it seems. Maybe a little more than that, maybe 20, 30. So we're getting there. We're almost 1/4 through the campaign. So it's going to be, a month or two before we get to a conclusion. Just, there's so many orders and we're trying to do our best. So just stay with us on that. Also, it's not too late to back BEARDZZERKER, which I'm a letterer on that project. This is Don Chin, making fun of Boom Studios' BEARDZZERKER. So that campaign's still open. Please check that out. And then Johnny is working on his Kickstarter for Surrounded by Death number 3, I believe. So that's coming soon, probably July, he said, I think. So be on the lookout for that. All right, plugs out of the way. Let's get to this week's comic review. This week I am reviewing The Good Asian number 1 from Image Comics. It's the writer on this, and I'm gonna really butcher this name, but I'll take a shot at it. It's Pornsak Pichetshote. I'll spell it out. I know I butchered that big time. Artist is Alexandre Tefenkgi. Lee Luridge is the colorist. Jeff Powell is the letterer and designer. And then, of course, we got the great Dave Johnson as cover artist here. This book is basically a noir crime comic starring like a detective, a Chandler, Raymond Chandler type, like Dick Tracy, that's just a classic noir kind of detective. It's set in the backdrop of like the early 30s. I want to say 1936, where there's an anti-Asian immigrant ban happening, as a backdrop to this. And the main detective, whose name is Edison Hark, is an Asian detective, which is in a time where that was kind of unheard of, like a typical noir type story. It starts off with a detective is investigating something and then kind of stumbles into greater mystery, without giving too much away. It's like that kind of a story. I knew I was gonna love this book because I'm a big noir guy. I love stuff by Brubaker. I love Frank Miller's Sin City. I love comics like that. I love there's I think Titan Books or Titan Comics is putting out like comics based, like that are noir crime. They'll have those classic paperback covers, like those painted detective paperback covers. I forget what their imprint called. It's something like Hard Crime or something like that. But I love that stuff. So when I saw Image was putting out a book like this, I was like, oh, I put it on my sub immediately. I just knew I was going to like it. And I like the twist, where it's like a major, like an Asian character is the lead. I thought it was a great idea. My critique of the story is it's it hits all the tropes that you expect from this kind of story. You got a cool detective that's the lead, who's like classic detectives got great like observation skills. Plus he has like the Asian kind of perspective. I really liked it. The artwork by Alexandre Tefenkgi. I'm awful with pronouncing names, so if you're watching this, Alexandre, I am sorry that I butchered the name. Same thing with you, Pornsak. My forgive me, but anyways, I like the artwork a lot too. I mean, it's not overly detailed. It's very simple, but it's well drawn. It reminds me of, when you look at, like just a simply drawn like cartoon, like an animated cartoon where they get the figure and then there's not much, more, just, detail. It's very simple, but it's drawn well. Like the character, like the anatomy's correct on it. And in the coloring, I gotta give a thumbs up to Lee Luridge here too. It's colored like, they use like one or two colors on each, like depending on what's going on in the story. It reminds me of the stuff they were doing on Detective Comics back in, like, I want to say the early 2000s, when Greg Rucka was writing the book, where they were just doing this duochrome two color kind of palette for each thing going on. I really like it. So thumbs up. Not much. I don't have really anything to complain about. The artwork and the story is great on this. And then I kind of wrote down some notes here that I wanted to go over as well about the book. I said earlier, I thought it was a great noir atmosphere. The book really captures that. Even the Dave Johnson cover, which you'll see in the thumbnail on my review, just a cool image of Edwin Hark coming down the stairway with his gun drawn. It looks great. I already mentioned this simple but clean artwork. And I love, there was one thing that they did in the book. They used these red boxes that they would highlight over something on the panel, and that was to show when Edwin Hark was using his, like he would notice he noticed details and things. So whenever he was looking at a scene, they would put a red box over to kind of highlight that that's what he's noticing. I don't remember a specific example, but I thought that was really cool the way they did that in the comic. I thought that was really neat. Let me see. Yep, I already mentioned this. They reminded me of the duotone that they used for Detective Comics. Let me see. Inspired. Oh, so in the back of the book, I wanted to mention this too before I wrap things up. So much like if you're a fan of Ed Brubaker and Sean Phillips' monthly comics, or whenever they're doing right now they're doing the hardcover books, but they do these articles in the back where they talk about specific, like noir movies, or whatever the title they're doing. They try to get articles by professors and stuff to kind of talk about the history, and I love that stuff. I love all the supplemental stuff that they put in monthly book, certain monthly comics do. And they're doing that here in this book, which is great. So there was a whole 2-page spread just talking about the book and what their plans are. I believe this series is 8 issues total, so it's not like a crazy amount to get. But they talked about how the character Edwin Hark is inspired by Charlie Chan and Chang Namo, I think, which is a pulp detectives from like the 30s or 40s. And the writer talked about how that stuff is kind of like garbage and like racist now, which I can just imagine. But that he was attracted to it for because he thought down the road like he could do something like this, but do it way better and more modern. It's sort of called like Asian American noir, I guess, and that the immigration ban that's in the background of the story is really part of a real American history. So I appreciate that, like, because I'm kind of a big dum-dum, and I don't know, like, when I had history in school, I was drawing through history. So, like, it's going in one ear out the other. So I love when someone talks about this, adding real history to it. And then he talked about, like, that the book actually uses a real historical consultant, to just add in, like, real obscure history, especially with the Asian culture and stuff, into the actual issues. I thought that was fantastic, like the time and care and effort to put into the story it really shows in the end product. So and they talked about each issue. They're going to get into some more stuff, like, maybe stuff that happens in the issue. They'll talk about, like, with where they got it from or where the inspiration was from. So I look forward to that extra stuff, that supplemental stuff, almost more than I do the comic, which is crazy. But so yeah, all that stuff. So, pretty much I'd give this book my highest recommendation. I say check it out. If you love detective stuff, if you love noir, if you love Ed Brubaker, if you love Sin City, you won't go wrong with this book. I highly recommend it. So, all right, everybody, that's it. Pick up The Good Asian. Come back. We're off, actually, from the live stream this week. I thought we were on, but we're not. We're getting back to our old schedule now. It's a bi-weekly thing. So me and Johnny will be back next week, where we have 2 back-to-back episodes, which is kind of exciting. We didn't plan on this, but it sort of happened again. But the 2 guests coming in on Wednesday and Thursday are doing anthologies. So it's almost like an anthology week on Indie Comics Relay. So we have on Wednesday, I believe, the Comic Book School's coming back, a few people from that talking about their next anthology. And then on Thursday, we're talking with the Global Comics people again, as they're doing a COVID anthology. So it's going to be interesting. So it should be a fun couple of shows next week. So if you guys are around, definitely tune in for our live stream. All right, guys. Well, that's it. I hope you had a great Memorial Day. I hope it was relaxing and refreshing for you. And we'll be back again soon. And until then, have a great week, and we'll talk to you later. Bye.